If you are someone who often feels like you're on the wrong path or you're going the wrong direction on that path, if you obsess about the future or worry about the uncertainty of it all, or if you have a hard time letting go of the past, then this episode is for you. Today we are talking about presence and grounding yourself in presence and how really understanding what presence means, what it is, what it's not, has completely changed my life for the better, I would add. And I'm really excited to share all of my thoughts and share some wonderful spiritual teachers that have inspired me and have helped me along this journey, and some books that I think might help you if you are kind of new to this concept. So, hello, welcome back to Mindset Matters. My name is Victoria. I am your host, and this is the podcast where we practice higher emotions, presence, resilience, gratitude. We live with purpose and grow with intention. So, thank you for being here. I'm excited to chat with you today. And this is going to be kind of my, spiritual wellness deep dive, spiritual wellness journey. I think that anyone can be spiritual. Anyone can learn about kind of the higher consciousness that is beyond our physical being. And this is one of those things where I've been learning about this for a couple of years. I've been really practicing these things for probably about 2 years now, and I just feel so much better in my life now that I deeply understand these things. So the first thing I want to share with you is this TikTok that I saw. It was such a good explanation of presence and what it is. So this girl, and I'm going to try to find it. I think I saved it. So I'm going to try to link it below because I want to give credit to this girl who explained this because she did a really good job. So I'm going to try to link that below. Note to self, don't forget to go back and try to find that. But she was talking about presence and what it is. And she used the board game analogy. Think about a board game. You are, when we play a board game, you have your little piece and you're moving it around the board. You're moving through time. And she's saying that's not how we are. That's not how we work. And with people, time moves through us. So when we think about time, we think about where we are. We are always where we are. We're always in the present, right? The only moment we actually ever have is this exact moment. So you have to be open to letting things come to you, letting time move through you rather than feeling like you need to move through time and like you need to hit all of these checkpoints that you can't actually control. I hope that's kind of making sense, but when you think about it, you only ever have this exact moment where you are right now. You never have the past. Things didn't happen in the past because when they happened, it was the present. And things aren't going to happen in the future. They're going to happen in the present when you get there. But you can't control all of these things. You can't control everything in your life. And I think when you really ground yourself in presence, you are allowing life to flow, which I always talk about. You're allowing time to move through you, and you're allowing yourself to be in acceptance of what is. When you obsess about the future, when you are so fixated on the things you either can't control or the uncertainties in life or, worrying about something that hasn't yet happened, you are taking yourself out of the present moment and you're creating this anxiety and this stress around things that you literally cannot control. Is it to say that you should never have goals or dreams or future aspirations? No, that's not what I'm saying. And I talk a lot about how having a personal vision for yourself can be helpful. And I believe in having a personal vision is really good to keep you on track to meeting your goals. But the difference is having a personal vision is like allowing yourself to dream and to think about what it is that you really want out of life. But then you put that idea out there and then you come back to yourself and you say, what can I do now that is going to serve me and get me closer to that ideal self, right? So it's not me sitting here being like, oh, all I want is to have this thing and be here and do this, and I'm stuck here and I have none of those things and blah, blah, blah. Like, that isn't serving you. That is being out of presence. But me saying, I am working towards this life of abundance where I feel happy in my career, I feel centered in a loving partnership, I have a family, and these are all things that I'm dreaming about and that I want for myself. So I have that idea, that vision that I have set out, but every day I am grounded in the present moment, knowing that I only have right now to help get me there. And I think the saddest thing is to see people who are so obsessed, and this used to be me, so obsessed with getting to the next thing or being in the next phase that they literally miss out on what's happening for them right now. And notice I said happening for you, not happening to you, happening for you. And I think I've talked about this before, but a good example is when I was living in France, I was an au pair during COVID. And towards the end of my trip, I was like so ready to come home. I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. I was so done. And all I kept thinking about was, is it July yet? Is it July? I want to go home. And the last few months of my stay, I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't present because I was obsessing over this future that I would have coming home. And it ruined, or I wouldn't say ruined, but it definitely made the last few months a lot harder because I was obsessing over this future that, I couldn't control. And had I just known, okay, in a few months I get to go home, but let's enjoy the time I have now, I would have grounded myself so much more and I would have enjoyed that experience and taken advantage and say, hey, I don't know when I'll be back here. I don't know if I'll ever be back here or have this type of experience again. Let's enjoy it. And I think I mentioned in the intro, if you feel like you're on the wrong path, I just want to jump out and say, I don't believe that we can ever be on the wrong path. I personally believe every single thing that you experience in life is meant to happen. It's meant to be an experience for you, good, the bad, the ugly, the confusion, the uncertainty. Everyone goes through this. Everyone experiences doubts and, whether you're doubting yourself, doubting your direction. But all of those thoughts is what keeps you out of the present moment. And we'll talk about thoughts and becoming an observer of your thoughts in just a little bit. But this whole idea of the path, I don't think you can ever be on the wrong path. Can you be on a path that you realize isn't serving you? Yes. But guess what? I think you have the control to say, oh, I'm going to take the next left, the next fork in the road, I'm going to turn, or I'm going to veer off into the forest a little bit and create a new path, forge a new path, or hey, I'm going to turn around and go back a little bit and take the next right. Like, think of yourself as the creator of the path. You're not on the wrong path. If things aren't going well for you, you're not on the wrong path, but you need to start changing how you view the path. Don't view it as something that you're stuck in, something that is happening to you. You are literally the creator of your life. You are the creator of your decisions. You get to decide what direction you walk in, how you go down the path. You get to decide, am I going to be here where I am, or am I going to constantly be staring into the distance of this path, wanting to get there? Oh, if I just could make it to the next pit stop, if I could just make it here, then I'll be happy. That's not how it works. If you can't be happy in the present moment, and if you think you always need some new thing, whether it's a certain amount of money, a certain amount of friends, a certain career milestone, if you are relying on these things, these outside things to bring you happiness, it's not going to happen because you're going to get it and you're still going to feel empty inside. You need to shift how you feel where you are. If you can find joy and happiness with where you are now and what you have, even if it's not your perfect ideal situation, are any of us in our perfect ideal situation? Like, there's always things to strive for. And I think a higher self that we can want to obtain, but it has to come from a place of truly learning to love your life where you are now and just be open to the journey of life, however you're going to get there. And when I think of this whole personal vision, right, and having a personal vision and how that can help you feel like you are moving in a right direction. If you have no idea what you even want out of life and no idea who you are and what your values are, like, yes, it's going to be challenging to feel like you're on the right path or headed in the right direction because you don't even know what the direction is. So if you can figure out, what are my values? What do I really want out of life? And what are my passions? And then from there, you ground yourself in what can I do literally right now? Or what are the things I'm doing now that are not serving me and that are not helping me along this journey? So I want to shift into talking a little bit about Eckhart Tolle, who is my favorite spiritual teacher. He talks all about presence and how to really transcend your thoughts and how to become an observer of your thoughts, because a lot of people identify so deeply with the thoughts that you think, and you are not your thoughts. You are a human and a being. You have your physical body, but you also have your consciousness, this state of consciousness that when you learn to, I don't know if I should say like learn to activate, but learn to tap into that consciousness, you start to see things differently. And a truly awakened person is the person who can allow life to flow, can let go of the little things, can recognize when they're out of the present moment. I think this is a huge one because we're human, we're not perfect. And it definitely, for me, I notice times, maybe when I'm a little bit stressed at work, I start noticing like I'll get a little agitated at things that are silly and mundane and don't need to make me upset. Recently, I've noticed myself complaining a little bit while driving. And this is a big one for me where I don't like complaining while I drive. If someone wants to cut me off, okay, let them. Who cares? If someone makes a bad decision and turns when I'm kind of coming pretty quick and have to brake a little bit, like, hey, I'm safe. I didn't get in an accident. I'm okay. And I notice myself when I'm in times of like being a little bit more stressed that I start to, I don't know if I would call it fully like road rage, but get a little bit more complacent with like allowing myself to complain about little things, because I really think it's the little things that we complain about that kind of build up and allow us to open this kind of realm of negativity within us. So if you can truly let go of the small things and learn to just be present, and at the end of the day, is it really a big deal if someone cuts me off in traffic? I want to share a quote from Eckhart Tolle, and then we'll talk about it. So this is from his book, The Power of Now, which I would highly recommend. Whenever you are able to observe your mind, you are no longer trapped in it. Another factor has come in, something that is not of the mind, the witnessing presence. When you can start to witness your thoughts and become an observer of thoughts, it's just life-changing, because when you're so attached to your thoughts and you think that you are your thoughts, then you can't fully be present because our mind is almost never present. It's our ego constantly worrying, constantly wanting to be here, wanting you to be safe. So they want to know everything that's coming, but it's impossible to actually predict everything. And so when you can start to observe your thoughts, you can start to recognize what are the things that I'm complaining about? What are the little things that I'm stressed about? What am I constantly worrying about? Then you can start to really come back to the present moment and recognize like nothing's wrong where I am. All of these worries are things that I cannot control in this moment, right? Unless something is in a crisis and something literally had just happened that does require your attention, like that's more your fight or flight response, right? But in that moment, is there real danger? A lot of the time, no. A lot of the time, it's us projecting our fears and projecting our worry of the unknown in the future, or worrying about the past, or obsessing over something you said that was dumb and you're embarrassed, whatever. Like so many of those thoughts, most of those thoughts do not require immediate attention and do not require immediate action. And so when you can learn to observe those, you can start to let them go and you can start to really shift how you think and decide to shift it in a way that does serve you. So for example, the other day I noticed myself getting agitated while driving. And one thing happened and I was like, whatever. Like I think I said something to myself. And I literally checked myself. I said, okay, Vic, that's enough. Let's just enjoy the ride. And I put some music on and I just enjoyed the rest of my drive. And like, that's the consciousness. That's me being conscious and waking up to that unconscious moment, right? Any kind of complaint, any frustration, you are unconscious in that moment. You're not consciously aware of the fact that really it's not that deep. It's not a big deal. Let it go. So I checked myself and I was able to let it go. And I think that is the power of presence. And like now that I've adopted this into my life, I've been able to really let things go a lot quicker. Whereas I think sometimes we have one little bad thing happen and it ruins our whole day and we let it linger. And sometimes I feel like it's almost the embarrassment of admitting that was a dumb thing to get upset about that makes you upset longer. Does anyone know? Can you relate to this? Like sometimes when something happens and you get upset, you might realize, oh my gosh, why am I upset about this? This doesn't have to be a big deal. But because you already made it a big deal, you almost need to keep that front going of being upset. So then you're upset longer. I don't know if that makes sense, but I can definitely think back to that being me. So maybe someone could relate. And I think the other thing I want to say about presence is just, it's so amazing to be so grounded in like this moment and enjoying the journey of life. I have so many things up in the air right now and so many things that are like new and upcoming, and I'm kind of stepping into a lot of unknowns, but it's exciting. It's okay. It's okay to be a little bit nervous. It's okay to not know everything that's going to happen or not be on this perfect path forward, right? And I think for me, when I think of my personal vision, I think about like I know what I want and I have the dream slide in my head. I have the goal slide running. Your goal slide is like close your eyes and envision what that is, and you can always envision it. But I'm not stressed about getting there. And I think that is the key takeaway is you can know what you want, you can know where you're going, but you're not obsessed with it needing to happen at a perfect time. You're not obsessed with needing A, B, and C to happen to get there. You just allow yourself to enjoy the journey of life. And life should be enjoyed. You should be able to enjoy your life. And again, I always say this, but if life was super predictable, if you knew everything that was going to happen, life would be boring. It would be boring. So enjoy the journey. Say yes to things that scare you but excite you. And Be present, enjoy them fully. Stop worrying about the next phase of life when you're here. This is a good one for people who are single. When you're single, you want to be in a relationship so bad that you miss out on all the amazing things that can be when you're single. Being single means you can decide whatever you want for yourself. You don't have other people to really always have to consult before making decisions. And so that's a plus about being single. I don't want to talk too much about, single and being in a relationship, but I think so many single people are so obsessed with meeting their future partner that they're not present in the stage of life that they're in. Okay? Same thing if you are in a job you're not loving. If you're obsessing about wanting to find a new job, that you're missing out on even the lessons that you can learn by being in this current job, right? And I think it's so easy to just want things that we don't have yet, that we totally get lost in that state and thinking that that will bring you joy and that will bring you happiness. But if you can't experience happiness and joy with where you are right now, getting some outside thing, something outside of you is not going to change that. You might think it will, and maybe it will temporarily, but true happiness and true joy needs to come from within yourself. And when you can ground yourself in presence and really take in your surroundings, take in where you are now and be there. Another thing is social media. Get off your phone. Make sure that you're not just scrolling and scrolling, but you're actually consciously taking time out of your day to put your phone away and just exist. Go for a walk in nature. That's a great way to be grounded in presence. Another thing you can do is pick a task and pay very close attention to it. So an example I have given before, I think, is washing the dishes. Notice how the sensation of the bubbles feel in your hand and watch the water wash away the bubbles. Doing some sort of activity or mundane thing, but focusing all your senses on it as much as possible can really help you stop thinking, right? Because presence, essentially, you're not overthinking about things. You're just existing, and you're allowing yourself to separate yourself from your mind because you are not your thoughts. So lastly, really quick, I'm going to share a couple books that I would recommend. I don't have them with me. I'm actually moving soon, so all my stuff's kind of packed up. But first book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Highly recommend. The 7 Laws of Spiritual Success. I think that is Deepak Chopra. I should verify that. 7 Laws. Oops. Yeah, Deepak Chopra. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And the last one is Transurfing in 78 Days, which I've talked about a lot on here. But I think anyone can learn to be spiritual, and spirituality can look different for everyone, and everyone can have their own practice. But the more you can be present in your life, the more you're going to experience joy, the more you're going to enjoy the journey. And what is life if not to be a journey? I don't want to know what's going to happen. I don't need to know how I'm going to get to where I'm going. I just want to be able to take in each moment and not take it for granted, because I think when we look back on our lives, you're going to notice those chunks of time when you were just so obsessed with getting to the next thing. So I'm going to leave this here. I hope that you were able to get something from this. As always, please leave me a little comment below. Feel free to click the links below to check out my Mindset Mondays email list, as well as my website, which changes are coming soon. I've been working on some things that I'm going to share very soon, so I'm very excited about that. So stay tuned, and I hope you have a beautiful week. Bye.